Judging by the coverage since the upset win in Alabama by Democrat Doug Jones, you would think the GOP should just go ahead and give up on 2018. Take a look at some of these headlines. Has Roy Moore doomed Donald Trump? The Republican nightmare is just beginning. The suburban revolt against Trump continued in Alabama. So how confident should Democrats be at this stage? Is that level appropriate? Well, tonight's political panel is staff writer for The Federalist, Bree Payton, and former director of strategic communications for Hillary Clinton, Adrienne Elrod. Great to have you both with us tonight.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.
You too.
Adrienne, I think it's interesting to look at this. You know, there's a piece in the New York Times by Bret Stephens where he says Democrats may like their polling numbers because in a lot of cases those do look good, especially going into 2018. He said, but they need to look at some of these other things and consider them. 3.3% last quarter's annual growth rate, 1.7% the core inflation rate, meaning interest rates will probably not spike anytime soon, 4.1% unemployment rate, the lowest in a long time, and 24%. That's the rise in the Dow Jones Industrial Average since Trump became president. Adrienne, will people care more about the economy than anything else? Because these numbers are moving in the right direction.
You know, I read Bret's piece and I thought it was very insightful, and he makes some very valid points that I completely agree with. But look, I think Democrats or people, the voting population in general is looking for something more than just a good economy. They want a leader that they can believe in, somebody they can be proud of, somebody who will actually restore civility to the political discourse. And President Trump has brought down the generic ballot for Republicans. Democrats right now hold an 11-point advantage in the generic ballot, and it's very hard to underestimate how important that is going into the midterm. So I can assure you we are absolutely taking nothing for granted given the outcome of the 2016 presidential election. But Democrats are in a very strong place right now. We've flipped 33 seats, down ballot seats in places like Oklahoma, Iowa. We obviously just won a statewide race in Alabama, the first time a Democrat has carried that state statewide in 25 years. So we're taking nothing for granted, but we're also in a very good place right now.
Well, Bree, you know, Adrienne, she talks about the generic ballot there. The Democrats have an 11-point average, but we often find in polling that when you ask people how they feel more generically versus their specific congressperson, there can be some different feelings and different polling about that. But how do Republicans turn around that number? Can they for next year's midterms? Very important.
That's a great question. I've been, you know, the whole narrative surrounding the Alabama election and what happened there has been honestly really frustrating to me because I don't think that race was about Donald Trump at all. I think it was about establishment Republicans mucking things up. I mean, Mitch McConnell got very involved throughout the primary process in a very ham-fisted way and dumped millions of dollars in that state trying to astroturf out Tea Party, you know, conservative Republican Mo Brooks in order to, you know, prop up this lousy establishment candidate. And I think the rejection of Mitch McConnell's involvement is the reason why we got Roy Moore as a candidate in the first place. And I think, you know, he was a very deeply flawed candidate and ultimately he lost. And I think Doug Jones's victory and that loss of a Republican seat lies squarely at the feet of Mitch McConnell. And I definitely have to agree with Adrienne that Democrats have a lot of momentum right now. And I think that that's due to feckless Republicans not able or being completely unwilling to deliver on the repeated promises that we've made. I mean, we're a year into them having a majority in both houses and a Republican as a president. And listen, Obamacare is still the law of the land, and they're still squabbling over this tax bill. So, I mean, you know, conservative voters, why would they be motivated to keep these people in power? They're clearly not motivated and are totally unwilling to do the things that they have promised.
Well, and as often happens in a president's first term, those first elections that happen next, the midterms, generally don't go well for the party in power in the White House. So we'll watch and see. A million things can happen between now and next November. In the meantime, Bree and Adrienne, great to have you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.